massive fire that swept through the Glennallen Caribou Hotel 2 weeks ago, Alaska State Troopers say is now part of a missing person investigation after a discovery at that business. We first reported the possible connection yesterday.
Yeah, and since then, we have been reaching out for information. And tonight, Danny Tompkins has the newest details that were just uncovered.
What started as a devastating hotel fire has become something possibly more troubling. For those that have worried about a loved one who didn't come back when expected, this will hit close to home. Mary Jo Evans was thought to be driving to Anchorage on November 11th. Instead, her blue Ford Escape was found on November 12th in Glennallen, having been burned in the hotel fire.
They have the list of all the guests that were signed in. My friends work at the hotel, so they turned that over right away, pretty much.
When asked if Evans was staying at the hotel the night of November 11th, the city of Valdez, the Caribou Hotel, and the Department of Public Safety all responded with no comment. Evans' family worried for her whereabouts as she plays an important role in Valdez.
She was part of the fabric of our community, and it's upsetting to know that she is missing and remains missing.
Evans' timeline is still developing. Her family last heard from her on November 5th. The last public sighting of her was on November 8th, and the search didn't start until November 19th.
The big concern was they hadn't heard from her in a few weeks.
With Evans still missing, the case escalated to a multi-agency investigation involving state troopers and the fire marshal.
It's always elevated when you're bringing in other agencies. We're working closely with the Department of Public Safety and the fire marshal.
Hopefully that the troopers, they get in the specialists, they bring in some dogs to clear the scene and just, eliminate as many possibilities as possible.
In small Alaska communities, everyone knows everyone.
Valdez is a small community. We're a tight-knit community, and especially in situations like this, we really come together and look out for one another.
In places like Valdez, everyone feels the loss when someone is missing. Evans' family waits for answers, but they aren't waiting alone. Danny Tompkins, Alaska's news source.
And Chugach electric crews are working to get things back to normal after a fire caused power outages earlier today, affecting the Hyatt Place Hotel, Lowe's, and Home Depot on Tudor Road in Midtown. The company says someone started a fire in one of the vaults full of electric cables. At last check, power was restored to at least the traffic and street lights on Tudor. Crews say they're making sure that everything is safe during the repair efforts.
Developing tonight, Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski is defending Democratic lawmakers that are facing investigations from the FBI and Pentagon over a video where lawmakers urge U.S. troops to refuse, quote, illegal orders.
Well, President Donald Trump accused the lawmakers of sedition. So far, the FBI has contacted the 6 lawmakers for interview, while the Pentagon also reviews Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, we're told. The accused lawmakers are defending their actions, arguing it's the constitutional duty of troops to reject unlawful orders.
On social media, Murkowski defended Senator Kelly and other lawmakers, saying in part, to accuse him and other lawmakers of treason and sedition for rightfully pointing out that service members can refuse illegal orders is reckless and flat out wrong. The Department of Defense and FBI surely have more important priorities than this frivolous investigation. Expanded coverage is live right now on our website and our mobile app. Well, now turning to coverage of Typhoon Halong's impacts. A Kipnuk man is leading local village recovery efforts there after his family home was flooded.
Yeah, the home that Bert Paul grew up in, now 300 yards from its foundation after floating in the flood surge. Paul says that the home served as a gathering place for multiple generations of his family, and now the home, along with dozens of others, sits frozen. Paul said that the water reached about 4 inches deep inside of that home.
Yeah, just incredible to see, though. The houses floating may have prevented deeper flooding. Village of Kipnuk leaders, they're not allowing people to move back while homes remain unlivable, but welcomes evacuated residents to return for a day to pick up their belongings.
We may not get everything done in a day, but we are moving forward and doing what we can.
Our Augusta McDonald's in-depth report is live right now on our website and our mobile app. We'll also be airing that story tonight on the Late Edition. And as we get closer to Thanksgiving, you can imagine that the roadways, the airports are getting busier.
Oh, yeah. Joe Allgood is standing by at the airport. He's talking to people that are taken to the skies this holiday. But we're going to start with Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry with your first alert leading up to the big day.
Yeah, we're counting down the hours at this point. If you are planning to hit the roads as early as tomorrow, we are starting to see some impacts rolling in. Main concern today has just been how cold it's been. And those temperatures certainly chilly tonight. 12 in Anchorage, 3 below in Fairbanks. Sub-zero temperatures on the slope. Much warmer as you head from Nome into the Bering Sea into southeast, though temperatures are dropping now below freezing there in Juneau as well. And we do have 2 storms lurking here in the northern Pacific. The one in the Aleutians right now is going to bring wet weather to south central as we head into this holiday weekend. Those of you in Homer, Seward, and across Prince William Sound, you will be the first to see a rain-snow mix moving in tomorrow. Then snow moves into Thompson Pass as early as Wednesday evening, pushing up into the Copper River Basin, and we'll see chances for that snow working its way up through Turning Arm and Turning Pass as we head into Thanksgiving Day, with travel conditions likely to become more wintry, with winter driving impacts on the highway again through Turning Pass and Thompson Pass as we head from Thursday into Friday. So you do want to be prepared for those impacts. Tomorrow, though, looking great if you're heading out the door here across most of the state. We'll see a lot of sunshine. Temperatures still chilly in Fairbanks, 35 in Juneau, 19 in Bethel. And if you are heading out of state for the holiday, Joe Allgood is standing by at the Anchorage Airport. Joe, how are things looking there tonight?
Yeah, so activity seems to be ramping up a little bit here as we get closer to Thanksgiving hour by hour, but for the most part, things seem to be running pretty smoothly. AAA predicts that over 6 million Americans might be traveling between Tuesday and Sunday this week. And notably, this is the first Thanksgiving in nearly 20 years where you won't have to take your shoes off at the TSA checkpoint. While that might save you a few seconds, there's still plenty of recommendations to arrive early and make sure that you check your flight status, arriving with plenty of time to make it to your gate and handle any delays in the process. We spoke to some travelers here, coming and going, and asked them what tips they had for traveling during this holiday season.
Adding tickets to Apple Wallets makes things a lot easier. Putting all your stuff in like a backpack or something, traveling light. So like if you're not gonna use a laptop, don't bring a laptop, you know, stuff like that.
Good advice there. And if you don't want to recreate that famous scene from Home Alone, experts recommend that you arrive 2 hours before any domestic flights and 3 hours before any international flights. Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
Well, back here on your news at 6, Alaska's news source has learned the decades-long push for a liquefied natural gas pipeline known as LNG will dominate the legislative session when it starts here in about 2 months.
Yeah, that's from House Speaker Bryce Edgman. Our political reporter Will Courtney joins us now. Will, Edgman told you that a lot of info needed from the project's developers. Do you know what's coming up next?
Yeah, John, Ariane, Speaker Edgman expressing concern to me today about their consultant telling them lawmakers should consider adding guarantees for the pipeline developer. Those guarantees include large financial assurances for investors like property tax breaks. The Speaker's comments come after last week's Legislative Budget and Audit Committee, where the president for the major pipeline developer, that's Adam Prestige, told lawmakers LNG legislation would be, quote, very important. Now, up to this point, lawmakers said legislation has not been an issue, but their consultants saying if lawmakers don't pass legislation, the developer is set to pay $1 billion in property taxes. That's raising concerns that without guarantees, the pipeline may not happen. This is why lawmakers say they need a lot more information from developers.
Is the legislature moving at the speed that maybe AKLNG wants them to move at?
Right. That is the question du jour. Are we or are we not? And is there more we could be doing? At this point, I couldn't give you a definitive answer because, along with other legislative leaders, I don't think we know where things really stand with a project that apparently is making good progress.
I think the legislature needs to keep open communications with all the parties involved and with the governor as well, to know what it is that we need to put forward.
And responding to lawmakers, the pipeline developer, that's Glenfarne, says they're involved in discussions and regularly update the legislature. The governor's office told me if there is legislation related to the project, they would announce it. John, Ariane.
All right. Well, Courtney, thank you. And it is that time of the week. We take a look back at this week in Alaska's history. Yes.
Why are you laughing?
I'm giggling because Justin Mattson has such a good time with this.
Yeah.
And Bailey Braun joined him this week.
So you will on this week, of course, because that is why from a prison break, you got two types, one involving a human and one with a cute little animal.
Aww.
But you're going to have to tune in to find out how they did it, more on the backstory. There's also a protest that's a bit on the scandalous side. We're going to check it out. You can see that on our free streaming platforms on the Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and Roku. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Of animals say by showing. Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.